I couldn't move, but I could hear everything, especially when my mom told them to let me die. There it is, the moment everything changed. Can you even imagine being stuck, unable to speak, to move a muscle, but still completely aware of everything going on around you? That's how I was. Trapped in my own body, my mind screaming for help while my body just refused to respond. And then, my mom, the person I loved the most, said something that haunts me to this day. Let her go. I was still in there. I could hear her, hear everything they said. But no one knew. I couldn't reach out. I couldn't scream. It felt like I was fading into nothingness. But before we continue, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell for updates. You see, I never expected to find myself in this position. I wasn't some sick child or person with a condition. I was just me, Emily, a 16-year-old with big dreams. I loved my life, my family, my friends. But in a split second, everything changed. It was just a regular day, a normal drive with my best friend, Kate. We were heading home from a party, laughing, being careless, completely oblivious to the fact that the night was about to end in a way none of us could have predicted. The crash happened so fast. 1 second, I was reaching for my phone to change the song, and the next, the world went black. The car flipped, and everything went silent. When I woke up, I was in a hospital room. The beeping of machines was all I could hear. But that's when I realized I couldn't move. I couldn't even feel my body. But my mind was racing. I was awake, trapped, and alone. Hours, days, I don't even know how long passed. But one thing became clear. I could hear every word they said, every conversation, and nothing was more shocking than what happened next. Doctors came and went, checking my vitals, discussing my condition. They said I was unresponsive, my body just a shell, waiting for a sign. I could hear their every word, but no one knew that I could. It was terrifying. And then, my mom spoke. The doctor looked at her, his expression unreadable. He checked my chart again, his eyes narrowing slightly, as if he already knew what was coming. My mom stood there, a mixture of hope and fear on her face. Then, the doctor's voice cut through the room, so cold, so clinical. If there's no response, it might be time to consider the next steps. And that's when my mom said it. Her words shook me to my core. Let her go. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It felt like everything was slipping away. But then, something happened. Something that would change everything. The doctor checked my chart, paused, then spoke. His words lingered in the sterile room like a death sentence, a cold, calculated pronouncement that I didn't want to hear. I could feel it in my gut, like something was tightening around my chest. Was this really happening? Was this it for me? Expand the situation and introduce key relationships, 315 to 415. I had always been a fighter. Even before the accident, I'd never been the type to just give up. Whether it was school, sports, or anything in life, I pushed myself to the limit. But here I was, paralyzed, with no control over my own body, and hearing everything around me. I was just stuck. Stuck in my own head, listening to conversations I couldn't take part in. It felt like my mind was a prisoner inside my own skull. My mom, Lori, stood beside my hospital bed, her eyes red-rimmed from crying, but trying so hard to stay strong. She'd always been my rock. We had a bond that no one could break. I was her world, and she was mine. But now, I was just here. A lifeless body, with no one really knowing if I could hear them, feel them, or understand them. But I did. I heard everything. The doctors came in and out, offering their grim prognosis. They said there was no response from me. My body wasn't showing any signs of improvement. They said it was only a matter of time before my condition worsened, and they made it clear that there was nothing they could do. It felt like I was already gone, like the world had already decided for me. But no one knew how hard I was fighting. No one knew that I could hear them. And then, the moment happened. The moment that would change everything. The doctor shifted, checking the readings on the monitor, the faint beeping echoing through the room. I could sense his hesitation, that small flicker of doubt. He didn't believe I would make it, and I knew it. The words he was about to say, I wasn't ready for them. Her brain activity is minimal, he said quietly, as if he didn't want to say it out loud. Minimal brain activity. The words hit me like a punch in the gut. Was I really that far gone? Was I just a shell? But then, I heard it. My mom, in a voice that cracked with emotion, said, I don't think I can do this anymore. Let her go. Those words were like a dagger to my heart. Did she really mean that? How could she? She was my mom. My mom, the one person who would never give up on me. I could hear the pain in her voice. I could feel her torn between holding on to me and the fear of watching me suffer. But was I really suffering? Did she think I couldn't hear? Couldn't feel? And then the doctor stopped. He paused for a moment, glancing at me, his face unreadable. He looked back at my mom. He said something that caught both of us off guard. She's still in there. I wasn't sure what to make of it. Was there hope? Was there a chance? Or was he just saying that to make my mom feel better? I couldn't help but wonder, what if he was right? What if I was still here? My mom's voice wavered as she turned to the doctor asking, What do you mean, still in there? I could feel the weight of her words pressing down on me. I needed answers. I wanted to scream at her, to tell her, I'm here, I'm still here. But nothing happened. No movement, no sound, just the deafening silence of my unresponsive body. The doctor's answer was calm, almost reassuring. There's a slight increase in activity. She might be more aware than we thought. For a brief moment, I allowed myself to believe it. Could it be true? Could I be in there, still clinging to life, still aware of the world around me? My mind was racing, the anxiety building with every passing second. I couldn't understand why my mom would ever want to give up on me. She'd always been the one to fight for me. Through every challenge, every obstacle, she'd always been my warrior. But here, in this cold, sterile room, I could hear her faltering. The doctors had made it sound like I was already gone, that there was no hope. But I refused to believe it. Was I really just a series of electrical impulses? Or was there something more? Was there still a chance? I could hear her voice tremble as she spoke to the doctor. You're telling me there's hope? Really? Or is this just false hope? What if I'm holding on to something that isn't there? I could sense the agony in her words. The agony of seeing me lying there, motionless, hooked up to machines, with no answers in sight. It was too much. And as much as I wanted to comfort her, to tell her everything would be okay, I couldn't. The doctor, sensing my mom's uncertainty, seemed to soften. I don't want to give you false hope, but her brain activity is a sign. We can't make decisions based on just a few readings. We need more time to assess her condition. But how much time? How much longer could I take this? The uncertainty, the fear of it all, was eating away at me. I wasn't ready to go. I wasn't ready to die. But was my mom ready to let go of me? Then, just as the tension in the room seemed to reach its breaking point, something strange happened. A small twitch in my hand. It was barely noticeable, a tiny movement, but it was enough to make the doctor stop and look again. Was it real? Was it just a fluke? The nurse came over, checking the monitors, her face filled with confusion. She didn't know what to think. But the fact that I had moved at all, was that a sign? Could I be coming back? I wanted to shout, to let them know I was still fighting. But I couldn't. My body wouldn't respond. Still, the twitch was enough. The doctors were no longer so certain. The room fell silent as the doctor looked at my mom. He said, "Let's give her some more time. We're not ready to make any decisions yet." Time. It was the only thing I needed. Time to show them I was still here. But would they give me that chance? Or would they take it all away? Just like that. I was still in there. But would anyone believe me? The doctor's eyes narrowed as he leaned over my bed again, his face serious. "We'll need to run some tests. This could be a sign that she's aware." Everything in that room seemed to freeze. My mom was still standing there, clutching my hand, her face a mix of disbelief and hope. The tension was palpable. I could feel the weight of her gaze, like she was trying to understand if the doctor was offering her something more than just words. I could feel it too, this growing sense that maybe, just maybe, I was being given a chance to prove I wasn't gone. But would this moment be enough? Would this be the turning point? The doctor began making his way around the bed, checking the monitors and my vitals. I could hear him murmuring to the nurses, telling them to prepare for a neurological exam. He looked at my mom and said, "We're going to give her a series of tests to measure her brain activity. If she's showing any kind of awareness, we'll know more." My mom nodded, though I could see the hesitation in her eyes. Was she afraid of getting her hopes up again, only to have them crushed? I didn't know if I could take any more of this. The uncertainty, the pain of being completely powerless in a situation where my own fate was being decided by others. My own mother. But then the tests began. They touched my hand, moved my fingers, tapped my face. Each test was like a small burst of hope, each action a chance to communicate with the world I had been locked out of. Could I really show them that I was still here? The doctor continued his tests, his brow furrowed with concentration. I heard him make small notes on his clipboard. But I wasn't focused on that. I was focused on the tiniest movements I could make, every ounce of energy I could muster to show them that I was still alive in there. Then, the doctor looked up from his clipboard, his eyes wide with realization. "She moved her finger," he said. His voice was barely above a whisper, but I could hear it loud and clear. My heart skipped a beat. Did I really just move? My mom turned to me, her face flooded with emotion. She couldn't believe it. Her hand trembled as she squeezed mine, as if trying to anchor me to her, as if trying to pull me back from the edge. For the first time in days, I felt something other than fear. I felt hope. The doctors were starting to believe. I was starting to come back. But then, just as the doctor prepared to speak, another small twitch, this time in my foot. I could feel it. My body was slowly waking up, piece by piece. The room grew still, all eyes on me. I wasn't sure if I could keep it up, but something inside of me refused to let go. And then the doctor turned to my mom, his expression serious, as he said, "She's showing signs of awareness. We need to act quickly, but there's still a chance she could recover." My mom stared at me, her lips trembling. "She's really in there, isn't she?" The tension in the room was unbearable. Could this really be happening? Was I actually going to make it out of this? Or was it just another cruel twist of fate? I had to keep fighting. I wasn't ready to give up. But would they believe in me? Could I really come back from this? Everything rested on this moment, and I could feel the stakes rising higher than ever. The doctor looked at my mom, then back at me. His expression softened. "We need to act now. It's the best chance we have." The room fell silent as the doctor gave his final assessment. My heart raced in my chest, each beat louder than the last. My mom didn't say anything at first, as if she was still processing the weight of what was happening. She looked down at me, her hand still holding mine tightly, and I could feel the tears she was trying to hold back. After what felt like an eternity, she finally spoke. Her voice cracked. "You really are still in there. You're not giving up on me, are you?" And just like that, I knew. There was no more doubt. I wasn't giving up. I was still fighting. I had been fighting this whole time, just waiting for the right moment to prove it. The doctor was right. There was still hope. The neurological tests continued, and with each passing moment, I showed more signs of awareness. The twitching in my fingers turned into small, deliberate movements. I tried to focus on moving my toes, willing my body to respond. And slowly, it did. My body wasn't completely cooperative, but I could feel the sensation of my muscles starting to awaken. By the time the doctors left the room, they had confirmed what we all hoped for. My condition wasn't as hopeless as they'd originally thought. It was going to take time, months of therapy, but there was a chance I would recover. When the doctors finally left, leaving my mom and me alone in the room, the floodgates opened. My mom collapsed into the chair beside me, her hands covering her face as she sobbed. I wanted to comfort her, to tell her I was okay, but all I could do was lay there, barely able to move. I could hear her soft, broken words. "I'm so sorry, Emily. I should have never said that. I thought I was losing you. I thought I had to let you go." Her words hit me like a wave, crashing over me with the weight of everything she had been through. I knew how hard this had been on her, how difficult it was to even think about losing me. But I wasn't lost. I was here. I was still fighting. And when she finally looked up at me, her tear-streaked face filled with relief, I could see the love in her eyes. We were going to get through this, together. Over the next few weeks, things slowly began to change. The road to recovery wasn't easy, and there were setbacks along the way. But with every small step, every slight improvement, I felt a little more alive, a little more like myself again. My mom stayed by my side the entire time, never leaving me. She went from being the person who almost gave up on me to becoming my greatest support. She was the one who made me keep fighting. And in turn, I made her see that I was still here, still fighting, still her daughter. Doctors and therapists were amazed at my progress. No one expected me to recover as quickly as I did. But the truth was, it wasn't just medical care or physical therapy that helped me get better. It was my will to live, and the love and determination of the people who refused to give up on me. Months later, I was back on my feet, walking again, even if it wasn't perfect. But I was walking, breathing, and living. I was alive. And for the first time in a long time, I realized how precious that was. My relationship with my mom grew stronger. We both learned how much we depended on each other. She had almost lost me, and I had almost lost her. But we hadn't. We had another chance, a second chance, and we weren't going to waste it. It wasn't just the doctors who helped me recover. It was the love that kept me alive. The will to fight, to push through the darkness, no matter how hard it got. As I stood there, looking at my mom with a smile that said it all, I knew one thing for sure. We had been through the worst of it, and we had made it out the other side. We were going to be okay.